What's up? I hope everybody is having a good morning. I am. I feel much better. I got lots of rest. I we have emojis now. I made emojis. I made member badges. I got lots of rest. I feel so much better. I just needed a day off. Oh my gosh. I needed a day off so bad. Okay. So, I I want I wanted to watch the corn rake murder trial. So we're gonna do. There's a witness in the Phil Spector trial, and the first part of her testimony is 2 hours long. So we're gonna watch that, and then we're gonna do the first part of the corn rake murder trial, the original. After this, and we're gonna try to knock out the corn rake murder trial before the Karen Reed trial starts, because the corn rake murder trial is not that long. So we're gonna do. I'm trying to remember who this witness is. She's a waitress, Kathy Sullivan, who claims Spector escorted her and a friend to their car while holding a gun. So more prior bad acts, apparently. I don't know when they're gonna actually get to. I thought they had actually gotten to the night in question, but apparently we're still going over prior bad acts.
Okay. And if you'll sit back and hold the microphone right underneath, it's pretty good shape right now. You won't have to lean forward, and you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. You comfortable? Okay, good. Back in that month and that year, where were you working?
At the grill in Beverly Hills.
Do you remember the address of the grill?
9560 Dayton Way.
And that is in the city of Beverly Hills, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to show you a map, if I could. There we go. Okay. Can you see that? Okay. You need to see an actual.
No, I can see it.
Okay. Take a look. I'm not going to ask you about everything on the map, but if you look on the left-hand portion where there's a call out that says the grill in Beverly Hills, do you see where the end of the point? There we go. Where the end of the point of that is directed.
Yes.
All right. Is that? I'm not going to ask you to do an entire topographical thing for us here, but does that generally show in the county of Los Angeles where the grill is in Beverly Hills?
Yes.
Okay. Back in 2003, in February of 2003, how long had you been working at the grill?
With the company for 16 years.
16. And what were your duties back in February of 2003?
A waiter.
Was there anybody that you see here in court today that frequented the grill or frequented the restaurant as you worked there?
Yes.
Can you point to the person and describe what he or she is wearing, please?
It's Philip. He's in brown pinstripes.
Indicating Mr. Spector for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. How long had you known, well, let me ask it this way. When was the first time you met Philip Spector?
I met Philip in 1997.
What were the circumstances surrounding that meeting?
I was dining out with friends.
You were?
Dining out with friends.
Okay, where were you?
We were at Dantana's.
And what were the circumstances in which you came into contact with Mr. Spector for the first time?
Our table was next to his table.
Did you walk up and introduce yourself, or did you know who Philip Spector was at that time?
We were there first, and we pretty much finished our meal. And then he came in with his bodyguard, and sat next to us, and we did recognize him.
Okay. How did you know him?
Well, I knew him just from his music endeavors.
Okay. So did you approach Mr. Spector, or did Mr. Spector approach you, or?
No, it's sometimes we're in restaurants and you lean over to the people in the next booth and start chatting. It was one of those kind of things.
Okay. How did that conversation go? Did you two end up developing some kind of a friendship, or did you join him at his table or otherwise?
We did join him at his table. My friend Susan and he, I guess, clicked.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did that evening, the first evening that you met Philip Spector, and by the way, you said this was 1997?
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
All right. In 1997, how did that evening, and I want to focus your attention on that particular evening, how did that evening evolve? Did you simply join him at his table, have a drink or dinner, and then leave, or what happened?
We were at his table for a while. I can't remember if we drank or not because we'd already eaten.
Okay.
And then he said he was going to go up to the House of Blues and asked us if we wanted to join him.
Okay. And did you?
Yes, we did.
You and Susanna?
Susanna, myself, and her friend who was visiting from Texas.
And how did you get? I'm sorry.
Home.
I didn't mean to step on your
I'm
words.
sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish your sentence.
Well, there were four of us,
Okay.
but another one of the gals declined to go to the House of Blues.
All right. Where in the House of Blues did you go?
We went straight up to the foundation room.
Was that the first time you had ever been to the foundation room?
Yes.
Okay. And how late did you stay?
Oh, goodness. There was a show that was just finishing up, and they wanted to meet Mr. Spector when they found out that he was there. So they
They
came
meaning-
up, the band.
Okay.
So we were there for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
And what ended up happening? Did you end up going back to Mr. Spector's residence? Did you all go your separate ways? How did that night end?
The band was staying up at the Hyatt on Sunset.
Okay.
And so they invited Mr. Spector to come back to the hotel. And we all did. We went up to their room and just sat and talked.
Okay. And then at what time approximately did the evening come to an end?
Oh, gosh, I don't know, maybe 2, 3, 1. It was late.
Ultimately, did you go back to your house?
Oh, yeah, we all went our separate ways.
Okay. How would you describe, and well, I guess I should ask you this first. After that initial meeting, I assume you had a good time.
Oh, yeah, it's fun.
After that initial meeting, did you exchange phone numbers with Mr. Spector? Was anything left as far as reconnecting?
Susan and Philip exchanged phone numbers.
Okay. When was the next time you saw Mr. Spector?
I'm not quite sure. I know that they started talking immediately the next day, so they were in communication, and they would talk all the time
And how do you know that?
because Susan would tell me.
Okay. And how did you know Susan?
Through the Daily Grill. We had trained together.
Okay. Is the Daily Grill the same company that owns the
Yes.
grill on the grill on the alley?
Mhm.
Is that yes?
Same company.
Okay. Ultimately, did you and Mr. Spector develop what you would consider to be a friendship?
I would say yes. He and Susan were closer, but I would hang out with the two of them from time to time.
Explain to me, and I don't want you to go through an entire 5 years worth of context, but explain to me and explain to the jurors, if you would, the evolution of that friendship. How often would you see Mr. Spector? In what contexts?
It wasn't,
How often did you see him and break it up from in what context? Well, it's actually how often and what's the circumstances. I think that's appropriate. The objection's over.
You may answer.
it wasn't that often. Susan and I would hang out every Sunday, and then every now and then she would call and say, do you want to go up to Philip's castle? Do you want to hang out with Philip?
Okay.
Or I might meet them someplace after work.
How often would you say between 1997 and 2003, how many times would you say you socialized with Mr. Spector?
Well, Susan and I stopped hanging out, but in the time before that, I probably hung out with him maybe 6 times.
Okay.
That's it.
And when you say the castle, are you talking about his Alhambra residence
Correct.
that he referred to as the castle?
Yes.
Okay. How would you describe the nature of your friendship? I think you've done a pretty good job up to this point, but I want you to specify, how would you describe the nature of your friendship, your relationship with Mr. Spector? Was it platonic? Was it romantic? What was it?
It was platonic. We're friends.
Okay. Was there ever any romantic interest on your part for
No.
Mr. Spector?
No.
Did you ever get any indication that there was any romantic interest from Mr. Spector toward you?
No.
So strictly friends?
Mhm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
Okay. And it sounds like what you're describing, Ms. Sullivan, as a friendship born of the relationship between Susanna and Mr. Spector more than yourself and Mr. Spector.
Correct.
Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. At some point, you stopped working at the Daily Grill and you began working at the Grill on the Alley.
Correct.
Okay. By 2003, by February of 2003, how long had you been a server at the Grill on the Alley?
A little over 2 years.
Did you begin, or at any point while you were working at the Grill on the Alley, did you see Mr. Spector frequent the restaurant?
Not until about a year and 9 months after I started working there.
Okay.
It was when Susan transferred over.
Okay. So if I get the chronology correct, you were working at the Grill on the Alley for about 2 years. For about the first year, he was not necessarily a frequent customer. That last year, before February of 2003, he was frequenting it more often, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I want to draw your attention specifically to February 2nd, 2003. Do you have that date in mind?
I do.
Did you see Mr. Spector at the Grill that night?
Yes.
About what time did you see him there?
It was really busy. It was late because he always came in late. So I don't know. We closed at 9, so maybe around 8.
Was he alone or was he
No,
with someone?
he was not.
Do you know who he's with?
He was with Rami.
Did you know Rami before this?
I met her at the restaurant through Philip.
Okay. I'm going to ask you very briefly. Diane is giving me a look. She wants us not to step on each other's words. So make sure you wait till the end of my sentence before you answer. That way we'll kind of keep Diane happy. And we must at all times keep Diane happy. You didn't know her, but you met her that night, correct?
Correct.
All right. You later learned that she was named Rami Davis. Is that what I'm understanding?
I met her before that night.
Oh, you did? Okay. When did you meet Miss Davis?
When Philip would come in, that's who he'd come in with, was Rami.
Okay. And about how many times did you see Mr. Spector and Miss Davis's company?
Maybe 5 times.
All right. Were you working as a server that night that Mr. Spector came in on the 2nd of February?
Yes.
Were you were you working in a section that he was sitting in?
No.
Did you make contact with Mr. Spector that night?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I noticed that they were there, so I went over to say hi.
And what happened?
I said hi. We exchanged pleasantries. That was it. I was busy. He was eating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you notice at that time whether or not Mr. Spector had a meal in front of him?
Yes.
Did you notice at that time whether Mr. Spector had any drinks, alcoholic beverages in front of him?
Yes.
What did you see? If you recall, I know it's been a while and you may not have paid close attention, I don't know. What do you remember him drinking or having in front of him?
It looked like a cocktail.
Okay. When you say a cocktail, are you talking about something on the rocks or describe that for us?
I don't remember what it was, but he usually drank Diet Cokes, and it clearly was not a Diet Coke.
Okay. At some point during the evening, well, how long was Mr. Spector and I was about to ask you a question you can't answer. How long was he there before you noticed him? That's like everybody that's not here raise their hand, right? Let's try that again. When Mr. Spector came in, after you noticed that he was there, how long before you walked up and greeted him?
I couldn't say.
10 minutes, an hour, 2 hours?
Oh, 10 minutes.
Okay. And how long was Mr. Spector there in total with Rami Davis?
Till we closed.
Which was at 9 o'clock?
Yes.
Did anything occur either at or after the time you closed with regard to an invitation coming from Mr. Spector?
Yes.
Describe that for us, please.
We were closed, and I was eating some food that they put up for us at a side table with another employee. And a busser came up to us and said that Philip wanted to talk to me.
Okay. Well, what'd you do?
I got up and I went over to the table.
And what kind of conversation ensued?
He wanted to know if I and the other gal I was dining with wanted to join him for drinks.
Did you say other guy or the
The
gal?
gal.
Female?
G-A-L.
And
Gal.
who is that?
Karen.
Do you know Karen's last name?
Yeah.
Want to tell us?
Okay.
Yes, please.
Now she's going to end up in the paper.
Oh, nobody's promising that.
Tucker.
Okay. So you and Karen were having dinner together after you were already off work, correct?
Correct.
All right. Mr. Spector approached you through another person, a busboy, you said.
Max.
And Max ended up giving you a message, come talk to Mr. Spector. You did.
Yes.
Am I correct so far?
Yes.
All right. What happened after Mr. Spector asked if you and Karen would like to join him later for a drink?
I relayed the message to Karen.
And what was the response?
She had a birthday to go to, so she declined.
Okay. And what'd you say?
So I went back to the table to Philip and said that Karen was busy.
And what happened then?
Well, he said, what about you? And I said, well, I don't have a change of clothes. And he said he didn't care.
Okay.
Do you want to go? And I said, okay.
What were you wearing?
I was wearing my uniform.
Tell me what that consists of.
Well, it wasn't the complete uniform because we wear waiter jackets
Okay.
and ties, but it was a white shirt and black pants.
Where was Ms. Davis when this conversation took place between you and Mr. Spector regarding the invitation?
In the ladies' room.
Okay. Did you ask Mr. Spector how you going to do this logistically? I mean, was that conversation held?
I can't remember if I asked or if he just volunteered the information.
And so what was that information?
He said his driver was going to take Rami home and that they'd come back for me in about 45 minutes.
Okay. And did you wait for him?
I did.
How long did you wait?
About an hour, 15 minutes it seemed like. It was clearly longer than 45 minutes.
What happened once, or did Mr. Spector end up coming back to the grill?
Yes.
And where were you when he came back?
I was outside waiting.
Did he come back with a driver?
Yes.
Did you know his driver, by the way?
Yeah, I knew him from the grill. I did not know that he was Philip's driver. He was one of our valets.
What was his name?
Adriano?
Did you know his last name?
I do not.
Okay.
I didn't.
You still don't?
Well, I do now.
At that time, did
No.
you know his last name?
No.
What car was Mr. Spector riding in?
It was a black Mercedes.
Where did you and Mr. Spector go after you left?
We went to Trader Vic's.
And where is that in relationship to the grill on the alley?
Well, it's on the corner of Santa Monica and Wilshire, so
Okay.
probably 2 blocks away.
Okay. So if we pull up that map one more time. There we go. You see where the call out indicates the grill on the alley, that little pinpoint, looks like a little house there. And then Trader Vic's is just to the west of that.
Correct.
Is that about accurate?
Yep.
Okay, so just down the street. Is that yes?
Yes.
Okay. I'm assuming it didn't take you very long to get to the Trader Vic's location.
No.
What happened once you were there?
We were sat immediately in the bar at a table.
At a table in the bar, but
Yes.
not at the bar itself? And what happened?
We ordered drinks.
What'd you order?
I ordered an amaretto sour.
And do you know what Mr. Spector ordered?
He ordered a Navy grog.
Did you know what a Navy grog was at that time?
Never heard of it.
What did it look like?
It looked like something Trader Vic's would serve, something fancy.
They're going to be so happy you said that. Tell me what you mean by that.
It just looked fancy, in a fancy little glass. It might even have something in it. I don't know.
Fancy meaning like an umbrella or something?
Yeah, I don't remember, but big glass.
Okay. When you say big glass, you're holding your hands apart. About how far?
It was, I guess, in a tall tumbler, shall we
Okay.
say.
There you go. It's taller than a rocks glass.
Yes.
All right. And did Mr. Spector order anything to eat, or did you order anything to eat?
He kept trying to get me to eat, but I had just eaten.
So you weren't hungry?
Nope.
You declined the invitation for food?
I did. I looked at the menu and it just was all Trader Vic's like food.
More umbrellas.
Yeah, you know,
Point after point
yeah,
after point
they're-
right now.
going to be boycotting the grill.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, here we go. I want to show you you know what, I'm going to back up for just a quick second, because you would probably be able to do this relatively quickly. We're going to put on the overhead what's been previously marked as People's 10, and I'd like to highlight, actually, you may be able to see that from where you are. How are your eyes? Not that good. All right, let me see if I can get the judge to allow me to approach with the actual document. Manager, thank you. That's an enlargement of what you're looking at here. This document in its total has been marked as People's 10, so when I refer to it, that's what I'm talking about. Take a look at that. It's a little bit faded.
Yeah, this is pretty bad too.
Yeah, not great. Do you recognize that document?
Yes.
What is that document?
This is one of our guest checks.
Okay, that's the type of guest check in the ordinary course of business at the grill.
Yeah.
When you say one of our guest check at the grill on the date on that guest check.
Yes.
Okay, what's the date?
February 2nd, 2000. Yeah,
2003?
I guess it's 2000. Mhm.
Is there any other document attached to that?
Yes.
Is that your reading?
No.
All right. Do you see?
I can see it better up there, the 2003 thing.
Okay, good. So you'll agree with
guess.
me that that document does in fact reflect a date of February 2nd, 2003.
Yes.
All right. Do you see anybody's name either in the signature box or on the house check portion of the, or house account portion?
Okay, I found pictures of the house. Sold for $3.3 million. I don't know what year. I imagine it'd be a lot more now. It was built in 1925. Oh, okay. I guess he didn't name it a castle. It's a replica of a castle. Pyrenees Castle was built in 1925 by Sylvester Dupuy. I guess that's how you say that. And is a replica of a castle he used to walk by when he was a child in France. Wow.
Of the receipt.
Well, in green, I see the word Spector, and then the house stamp is stamped all over it.
Okay. Are there such things as house at the grill?
Yes.
Did Mr. Spector have a house account to your knowledge?
Yes, he did.
And where it says house stamped all over, the name Spector written on, would that be indicative of habited for the account for Phil Spector?
Yes.
Okay. And is that
Randy,
serving him that night? Was that
I
document?
don't think she wants to be there. And she keeps looking down. She's being very disrespectful.
Look consistent with the check that Mr. Spector would have received on the night that you saw him in the location with Rami Davis?
Yes.
And do you see 2 daiquiris having been ordered on that guest check?
Actually, it's not daiquiris. It's a ginger ale, a Diet Coke, and then it says daiquiri with Bacardi Light. That's not a 2, it's a Z.
Okay.
It's a
You see in
computer
front of
error,
it.
yeah.
No. Hang on, let's walk through this slowly. There's a Z in front of it. There's a 2 behind it, correct?
Oh, well, I can't see it. The house stamp's in the way.
Okay, do you see where the, take a look up here, this may be easier. You see the O? on the-
Oh, I do see it, yes,
Okay, see where it says 2?
yes.
And you know that daiquiris at the grill are $7.50, correct?
I guess,
See where it says $7.50 just to the right, again, under the house stamp?
yes.
Okay, and then if you look all the way to the right, Ms. Sullivan, you'll see $15 for the total charge, correct? See,
Yes, I do see
Okay,
it.
it's very faded, very faint
Yeah.
because it's been a long bad paper, but do you see $15?
I do.
Okay, that would be an indication of 2 daiquiris with a call liquor, because the grill uses call liquors.
I've let this guy's really getting witty and suggestive.
It is.
All that.
Sustain.
Is it your opinion, having looked at that, seeing what you've seen and just described for the jurors, that there were in fact 2 daiquiris ordered that night
Exactly.
based on that grill?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, approach.
You may.
The next thing I was going to ask you to take a look at is people next in order. I think it would be people 11.
People.
This is a photostatic copy on 8.5 by 11, Your Honor, and it appears to bear 2 documents, one on the left and one on the right. Both appear to be Beverly Hilton Trader Vic's receipts of some sort, bearing the number 6831. And I'll label the 8.5 by 11 copy that I've got as People's 11.
Aaron, are we gonna, 11's gonna be the single page with both.
That's
Is
correct,
that correct?
That's correct.
if that's okay with the court.
It's fine.
I don't know if you ever saw the receipt that night. Does any of this documentation look familiar to you from Trader Vic's?
I didn't see the receipt, but that's what we ordered.
Okay, so that's consistent, that you see where it says 2 Amaretto Sour, 2 Navy, and 1 Diet Coke, 1 Coke, et cetera. You see that on there?
Yes,
Okay, and then that's consistent with your memory of what was ordered that night when you were with Mr. Spector at Trader Vic's?
yes.
Okay. About what time would you estimate that you got to Trader Vic's that night?
Sometime after 10, maybe 10:15.
And how long did you stay at Trader Vic's?
Not that long. Maybe an hour at the most.
Okay, so what time do you believe you left?
I don't really know.
Do you see on the document just beneath where it's highlighted 6831, February 203, 10:41 p.m.?
I do.
Okay, you're obviously more familiar than probably anybody in the room with this type of check. What does that time stamp indicate?
That's when the check was run, so
Okay, when it was rung?
print it out.
Okay, so sort of at the end of the meal or end of the event, the server will then ring that check up and present it for payment of some sort?
Correct.
Okay, so what time, based on that check, would you estimate that you left? May I have just a moment?
Yes.
The check is actually rung or opened at a particular time, and then it's presented for payment at a separate time, correct?
Yes.
All right, do you see at the bottom of, well, actually it's toward the middle of the document on the right, where it indicates the date, February 2nd, 2003,
I do.
11:53 p.m.?
Yeah.
Okay. Does that refresh your recollection as to the time that you believe you left Trader Vic's that night? Or approximately?
I wasn't wearing a watch, so I really didn't have a concept of time, and I don't really remember.
Okay,
So I guess we left soon after that was it.
fair enough. I guess what I'm trying to get at is, how long in total do you think you spent at Trader Vic's?
I thought it was about an hour, but clearly
All right, and once gone from Trader Vic's, where did you go?
we were going to go to Dan Tana's, but there was an issue with my car.
Before we leave Trader Vic's, let me ask you this. Whose idea was it to go someplace else?
We were talking about Dan Tana's during our conversation at Trader Vic's, and Philip had been talking about a salad. We learned that the kitchen was closed at Trader Vic's. So he said, let's go to Dan Tana's.
Was he indicating that he was hungry and he wanted to get a salad, or that he wanted you to get a salad?
Then we just agreed mutually that we were going to have some food.
All right. Before leaving Trader Vic's, did you call whether or not Mr. Spector excused himself to go to the restroom?
He did,
So,
relatively close to the grill. And I said, if we're going to go to Dan Tana's, that I wanted to drive my own car because it's between the grill and my house. And he said, well, we'll go together, so we'll follow you to your apartment, drop off your car, and then we'll go to Dan Tana's.
and was that okay with you?
That was fine.
Is that what y'all did?
That is what we did.
Ultimately, what time do you estimate that you got to Dan Tana's that night?
Probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes after we left Trader Vic's.
Okay, and do you remember stating that you believed, and you were previously interviewed about this case, correct?
Yes,
Yes. And during the course of that, by detectives, sheriff's detectives,
correct,
Detective Fournier and Detective Tomlin, correct?
correct.
Okay. During the course of that interview, do you remember telling the detectives that you believed your best estimate for what time you left Trader Vic's was just before midnight, and you arrived at Dan Tana's sometime thereafter,
Yes,
after dropping off your car?
yes,
Is it your best estimate that that event took about 20 minutes to drop the car off and get to Dan Tana's?
yes.
Okay, so you got to Dan Tana's estimated between 12:20 and 12:30?
Yes.
What was the first thing that Mr. Spector did once you were at Dan Tana's?
He went to the restroom.
Again,
Yes.
where were you seated?
At his corner booth.
Is that a normal table for Mr. Spector?
Yes.
And do you remember what, if anything, Mr. Spector said to the waiter or server up front?
I don't recall.
Do you remember him ordering anything to drink?
At the table, yes.
What did he order?
He ordered a Navy grog.
By the way, do you know what's in a Navy grog?
I do not.
What was the response from the server when he ordered the Navy grog?
The server didn't know what it was, but said he'd talk to the bartender.
And what ultimately happened?
He came back.
I don't know the recipe for a Navy grog.
Correct.
Okay, so what happened then?
So Philip just said, I'll have a daiquiri.
And did you order anything?
I did. I got an amaretto sour.
Did you order the salad?
We did.
Take a look, if you will. Just highlight the pink portion. Your Honor, I'd like to have marked as people's next in order.
People's 12.
Thank you. It's a best description I can give. But it appears to be a bar tab from Dan Tana's, attached to which is a yellow and a white credit card receipt or sales draft. I'll place a P12 on the upper right-hand corner. Take a look at what's been marked as people's 12, or at least a portion of it. It's the pink portion that's been marked. But the entire document, all 3 pages of it, are going to ultimately be included in people's 12. Do you recognize that?
I'm going to object on foundational grounds.
First question is, does she recognize it? If she, let's see if the answer is yes or no, and then we'll worry about whether there needs to be a foundation.
Taking one question.
All right, do you recognize that?
I've never seen a check from Dantana's.
Okay, fair enough. You indicated that you ordered that Mr. Spector ordered a Navy grog and ended up with a plain daiquiri, and you ordered an amaretto sour. Is that correct?
Correct.
And I was about to ask you if you ordered another salad, or did you actually get the salad that y'all talked about?
We got salad.
Okay. Was there a second? Did you eat the salad?
We shared it.
Okay. Well, did you finish it? Okay. He was just picking at his food?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay. What about a second round of drinks?
Yes.
There was a second round of drinks ordered?
Correct.
Did Mr. Spector get another plain daiquiri?
Yes.
Did you get another amaretto sour?
Yes.
Okay. Now, while you were at the restaurant at Dantana's, was there any other table close to your table that became an issue during the evening?
Yes.
I want to propose an objection on relevancy grounds, and I'd like to approach.
You may approach. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Sullivan, tell me about this table of individuals next to you.
I don't remember how many, 3 or 4 minutes, but they were quite loud and clearly inebriated.
All right. And so what happened?
At some point, one of them said something to Philip when he was in the restroom,
How do you know that?
because Philip returned and told me.
Did it appear that did Mr. Spector tell you whether or not this annoyed him?
Yeah, he said it was annoying.
And what happened after that?
One of the men leaned over to the same guy and said something, maybe asked his name, I don't know. He was trying to talk to us.
And what was Mr. Spector's response?
I think he said what his name was, and then the guy asked me something, but I just kept eating.
At night.
Not at that point.
Did Mr. Spector at some point have any more contact with these individuals at that table after this incident where one of the guys tried to contact him in the restroom?
When we were leaving for the car.
Tell me about that.
Well, we left because they'd started a fight with the waiter. They were arguing about their check, 2 of them. I guess one of them was out getting the car. So that's when we made our exit.
And what happened?
Philip's car was out there waiting for us. And the other gentleman, I don't know if it was 2 or 3, were just standing there waiting for their car, sorry. And something was said by the other person to Philip. Philip didn't say a word. He just firmly planted himself and stared directly at the man.
Was this a kind and gentle stare or something otherwise?
No, it was like he was staring him down.
Like a harsh stare?
It was sort of like a back off, buddy.
Like an intimidating stare?
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm going to please.
How would you describe this stand your ground stare?
Excuse me, objection. She's asked and answered. She's already told us what it was.
Well, no, I sustained your objection, and I'll strike her answer in agreement with Mr. Jackson's leading question, but now he may ask as to how she would describe it. The objection is over.
Thank you. Go ahead.
It just seemed like a firm stare, like back off.
All right. Did the other person back off?
Something was said, I got in the car.
And did you say anything to Mr. Spector once in the car?
He said something.
What did he say?
Apologized.
Tell me what he said.
I can't remember if he said he was sorry or if he said something like no disrespect, because it's something he likes to say, because I recall saying none taken.
Okay. Do you remember him saying anything about this not happening again? Or that
That
not
was
happening?
earlier,
Tell me about that.
after I think the restroom. He said, oh, it was the second to the restroom. I made a joke and said, how many people wanted to talk with you in the restroom this time? And he said, don't worry about it, that won't happen again.
do you remember talking to Detectives Fournier and Tomlin in respect of this particular incident and explaining this incident to them?
Yes.
Do you remember telling them that you remember Mr. Spector's quote as being something to the effect, it was relatively close, but I want to test your memory a little bit. Mr. Spector saying, "Believe you me."
I'm going to object on relevancy grounds.
The objection is overruled.
And also to the form of the question.
The form of the question is sustained, I think, see whether memory is going to be refreshed, whether it'll help her, et cetera.
Do you remember the exact words that Mr. Spector used?
I wrote it down.
As you sit here, do you remember the exact words that Mr. Spector used?
Believe me, that won't be happening again.
Okay, that was my question. Believe me, that won't be happening again. That's your best recollection of his words.
Correct.
Okay. Once outside, well, let me take you forward to where we sort of left off. You had gotten in the car, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Spector got in the car as well, correct?
After me.
All right. You said something about the second trip to the restroom. What did you mean by that?
He went twice while we were there.
Mr. Spector went to the restroom 2 times while at Dantana's.
Yes.
After getting in the car, did Mr. Spector appear to be, what was his demeanor like in reference to this event that had just taken place, this back off buddy stare?
He was fine.
During the course of the event, how would you describe his demeanor?
Objection to the use of the word event. It's no event.
It's just an overall descriptive term. The objection is overruled.
It's like it happened and then it was over with.
All right. During the course of it, I'm not asking about afterward, but during the course of it, they appear angry or mad or annoyed, or how would you describe it?
It seemed like he was trying to intimidate the guy.
Move to strike. Post foundation.
Overruled. It's a lady, you can cross-examine her. You may.
Thank you, Your Honor. While in the back of the car, did Mr. Spector have any ideas about going someplace else?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
He wanted to go to the House of Blues.
And what was your reaction to that?
I said I was tired and I was ready to go home.
Now, what time was it when Mr. Spector made this statement about wanting to go to the House of Blues?
It was very close to 2 because left Dantana's last call.
You were still in your work clothes?
Was it 2 or 1? You know, I don't know. When is last call? It was whenever last call is.
You're the server.
We don't work. The grill
I'm never out at
closes
2 anymore. I don't know.
I'll take judicial notice in California. It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
I'm going to ask how the court knows that.
Thank you.
All right, fair
I
enough.
used to work at the.
That's what they'll say. Okay. Judge, it's the microphone.
I have to schedule contempt proceedings, I guess. We'll do it on Friday.
I didn't think.
I'm available to represent.
Thank you. All right, let's assume,
Yeah, that is
I guess the
lot
point really
of
Ms. Sullivan,
A lot of rum. Yeah, exactly. Why even bother with the soda? Why do you need 3 different kinds of rum in a drink?
were you tired?
I was exhausted.
All right. Were you still in your work clothes?
Yes.
Had you been able to rest since you had been working that night at the grill?
No.
Did you have the same attitude that you've got right now about going out?
Yeah, I was done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you agree or disagree to go with him to the House of Blues?
Well, I agreed because I had a plan.
Tell me what your plan was.
Well, I knew if it was last call at Dantana's, it was going to be closed. I figured we'd get there and they'd say, sorry, folks, we're closed.
And you didn't go on. And at this point, you didn't, correct?
No.
All right. So you were sort of at the beck and call of Mr. Spector and his driver.
Yes.
All right. What happened once you did get to the House of Blues, Ms. Sullivan?
Philip directed the driver to go down the driveway. We parked. It clearly was emptying out, but we exited the car and we went in and all the lights were on. So obviously obviously the events were over with. But he was looking at the elevator. Philip was looking at the elevator.
And what happened?
Well, the elevator, I guess, was turned off to do. And Philip said we want to go to the foundation room.
Now, I'm going to interrupt you for just a second. You said you had been to the foundation room before, correct?
Correct.
For those of us who have never been to House of Blues, familiar with the layout, describe the House of Blues and the interior a little bit for us.
I've only been there twice, I think. So.
Well, it's pretty big, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of a massive building, correct?
Yes.
Many, many levels.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, there's decks and stairs.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you take over and tell me where these elevators are, where they go.
Well, it looks like we went in a back door
Okay.
because here door, there seemed to be a bar or something here, the stage is here, and the elevator bank is here.
Okay.
And then there were stairs outside the door.
All right. Wow.
I'm sorry.
No, that's
No, that's
okay.
okay. I'm going to have to try to describe what you just said for the
Oh,
record, because
I'm
here,
sorry.
and here doesn't help.
Oh.
May the record reflect when the witness was describing the interior that she just did describe. Her left hand indicating a bar was straight up on the witness stand. What was right? The stairway?
The stairway was outside,
Okay.
outside the door.
So what was across from the bar?
The stage.
Okay, so there's a stage to the, as you're sitting there, as you're describing it, to the right
Correct.
of the bar. Is that right?
Correct.
And where would the elevator bank be in between them?
The back wall.
Okay, just to the witness, kind of between the bar and the stage. We should just use a picture, shouldn't we? Yeah. What happened once Mr. Spector answered the question, what are you looking for with I'm looking for the foundation room? What happened?
The person who was working there said, well, he tried the elevator too, and that's when we figured out it had been locked. So he
Okay.
said, well, there's stairs around the corner. And he led us up the stairs.
Once up at the top of the stairs, is that where the foundation room entrance is?
Yes.
What happened once you're at the top of the stairs?
We walked in to a hallway, and to our right is, to the left was a foundation room.
How is the entrance of the foundation room situated?
It's off a hallway.
Is it a door?
It's,
In other words, is it just a big giant open room, or do you have to pass through a door or some kind of entry to get into the foundation room?
there's an entry, like, kind of like a double door.
A what
I
door?
can't recall a door, but like definitely an opening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is at that doorway?
A tall blonde woman.
I'd like to mark as people's next in order, I believe it's 13.
It is.
Your Honor, if you don't mind, I'm going to mark as people's next in order a House of Blues receipt as 13.
That's
and
fine.
the photograph that I'm about to mark as 14, if the court doesn't mind.
I don't.
I'll place on the back of the receipt, which I won't discuss at this point, a People's 13, and on the front of the photograph, a People's 14. Put on the overhead.
Yes,
Who is that woman?
that's Lana Clarkson.
Do you recognize her from the House of Blues that night?
I do.
Is she the tall blonde hostess that you just described?
Yes.
Was she standing outside of the foundation room?
She wasn't outside. She pretty much greeted us as we walked in.
Tell me about that greeting. What happened?
She stopped us and said, come here.
For this night, Ms. Sullivan, I guess I should ask you because you mentioned her proper name, Lana Clarkson. Before this night, had you ever seen Ms. Clarkson before?
No,
Okay, that was the first meeting. You had never seen her before in your life.
correct.
Did you later that evening find out what her name was?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get to that in just a second. As you approached the foundation room, was Mr. Spector with you, or had he gone to the restroom, or where was he?
He was with me.
What happened at your initial meeting with Ms. Clarkson?
She stopped us and said, you can't come in here.
And I suppose for the record, even though I think I know the answer, I'm going to object to what Ms. Clarkson said on the basis of the hearsay, or else I would ask the court, if it allows you to allow a more limited instruction.
It's is received not for the truth of the matter asserted, but to explain what happened thereafter. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll consider it for that purpose. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. When Ms. Clarkson said you can't come in, what was the response from Mr. Spector?
He said, what?
And then what?
She said, you can't come in here. She just repeated it.
Okay. Tell me about the conversation between
He
the two.
said, do you know who I am? And she said, no, sir, I can't hear you, and you're not wearing a badge. This is a private party.
What happened after that?
He said, I just want to go to the bathroom. And she laughed and directed us out to the bathroom.
Was the bathroom in the foundation room?
No, it was across the hallway.
Did you see Mr. Spector go toward the men's room?
He went to the men's room, I went to the ladies' room.
After you were out of the ladies' room, did you reconnect with Mr. Spector?
Yes.
Where?
He was back in the entry again of the foundation room.
And did you see what he was doing?
Yes.
What was he doing?
He was talking with Lana and another gentleman. And it was they were laughing. And
Describe the gentleman.
he was African-American, all in black, dread.
Did it appear that that person worked also at the House of Blues?
Yes.
What gave you that impression?
He was whispering something and I assumed he told Lana who Philip was.
Why do you assume that?
Because after that, she said, oh, I'm sorry. Come on in, Mr. Spector. My name's Lana, blah, blah, blah.
Was that the, I'm assuming the
I'm
blah, blah, blah
I'm
part
sorry.
was an extended conversation for which you are paraphrasing?
Yes.
All right, that's okay. Was that the first time you had ever heard her use her name?
Yes.
And that was the first time you were introduced to her by name?
Yes.
How would you describe her demeanor toward Mr. Spector after this conversation with the other employee of the House of Blues?
Extremely professional.
Did you hear her say anything to Mr. Spector? Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, please.
She led us up the stairs and said, if you need anything, I'm Lana and it's last call.
Okay. And what did you hear as far as a response from Mr. Spector?
I don't recall if there was more of an exchange. I just know the cocktail server at that point.
Describe the deal server for me.
I just remember a petite brunette. That's all I remember.
Okay. Is the foundation room just one large room or is it broken down into sub-rooms, if you will?
It appears to be sub-rooms.
Have you ever heard the phrase Buddha room?
No,
Do you remember the big giant Buddha in one of the rooms?
I don't.
Okay. So you don't remember that being in the room that you were seated in?
I don't know. I was in there so briefly.
Okay.
There might have been Buddha.
It's
I noticed that Buddha. I was tired.
Was it very dark in the room?
It was dark.
Right. The House of Blues, they keep the foundation room extremely dark. Aside from the server, yourself, Ms. Clarkson, and Mr. Spector, did you notice other patrons in or around the foundation room?
Not where we were. We were led up the stairs to that little room.
Okay.
But in the main room, yes, there was clearly a party.
And that smaller anteroom, if you will, off of the foundation room gave you some sort of privacy.
Mhm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
When the server finally showed up, did you hear
How do you want your rum? What kind of rum? And he said, I just want rum. And she smiled, said, okay, and that was it.
Did you
Oh,
order
wait, she asked me what I wanted.
and did you order anything?
I ordered water.
What was Mr. Spector's reaction when you ordered water?
He said, okay, fine, you want to go home. I'll have my driver take you home.
What happened after that?
Oh, he then said, get Lana, I'm sending Kathy home.
Who did he say this to?
I guess the cocktail waitress, she was the only other person there.
How did that make you feel when he said, I'm sending Kathy home?
Well, not good,
Why not?
because I wanted to go home, but clearly to these people that I didn't know, it looked like I was being sent home.
Were you embarrassed?
Yeah.
What was your reaction? Did you stay long enough to drink the water?
Oh, no.
Did you leave immediately?
Yes.
Describe how you got out of the club.
I was escorted by Lana, Ms. Clarkson.
And how did that come to pass? In other words, where did she come from? How did she know to take you? Or let me rephrase that. Where did she come from? How did you know to go with her?
Philip said, get Lana. I'm sending Kathy home.
Wait, did Miss Clarkson reappear?
She appeared out of nowhere.
Okay. And what happened?
She said, okay. Mr. Spector reiterated to her. He said, have Adriana take me to her house and have him bring the car back. I said, okay.
Did Miss
Yes.
did she escort you to your car? I guess I should say. What did you say to her?
I said, you don't have to do this.
What was her response?
Yes, I do.
Did she appear to be following the orders that were given to her by Mr. Spector?
That's what I thought.
Once at the car, by the way, the car was parked down below the club in that back parking lot.
Correct.
That's what
Correct.
I'm still waiting for Mercedes.
Right by the stairs.
Once you went out, did you hear Ms. Clarkson say anything to Adriana?
She said exactly what Philip had said to her. Take Kathy home and bring the car right back.
So she repeated his orders verbatim.
Correct.
In the car?
I did.
Did Adriana take you home?
He did.
Do you know where Ms. Clarkson went as you got in the car? In other words, did she get in the car with you or did she go back into the club?
She went back.
Did you watch her do that?
No.
What time do you believe it was when you finally left? Let me help you. Assuming that it was just before 2 o'clock, just before last call, as we've talked about earlier.
Yeah.
How long do you think you were there during this rum, water, walk to
Yeah.
car exchange?
I was probably there 10 minutes at the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you, did you have to give Adriana directions to your house?
Well, she followed me to my house earlier in the evening when we dropped off the car.
Okay. Did you have any conversation with Adriana on the way home?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you had conversations with Adriana previously?
At work, basically, hi, how are you? Bye.
In other words, you knew him from the car. Once you were dropped off at home that night, and let's assume it was a little after 2 or so, did you ever have any more contact with Philip Spector that evening, or that morning, I should say? Now we're in the morning of February 3rd, correct?
No.
Let me ask one question at a time. I think you were answering a question.
Sorry.
We're now into February 3rd, 2003, correct?
Correct.
All right. Did you ever have any more contact with Philip Spector that morning after you were dropped off by Adriana from the House of Blues?
No.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
You may, excuse me.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
All right. Who's doing cross? Mr. Rosen, it's going to for a while.
It is.
All right. Rather than break in the middle of your, ladies and gentlemen, keep taking our 15 minutes. I'm going to step down and we'll back. To discuss your testimony. All right. We will reflect all parties, jurors, and alternates are present as here to witnesses back on the stand. Mr. Dixon briefly in chambers, and in order to perhaps prevent calling another witness, Mr. Rosen's going to cross-examine this witness somewhat out of order, see if we can avoid calling another witness, and then he'll go back to his plans. Cross, so you may proceed.
Please tell me how you'd like me to address you. Miss or Ms.? You're,
I was gonna say Kathy, but Miss.
I'd like to.
Okay, Miss.
Okay. There are still some vestiges of English jurisprudence formality even in our courts today. Okay. Ms. Sullivan, I spoke with you just very briefly over the break.
Yes.
And I indicated to you, rather than start my cross-examination in the usual fashion, we're going to talk a little bit about this receipt to accommodate another witness.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a copy of that receipt up on, you do? Okay. Your Honor, may I?
Yes.
As I understand it, you have been about 16 and a half years with the company, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you were, what was it, two and a half years with the Grill on the Alley?
At this point, yes.
Yes, as of February 03.
Yes.
Okay, so let's take a look at, if we can, people's,
I just mark it as a receipt, so I'm not, thank you.
10. I looked in the wrong direction. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. People's 10. We call this People's 10, even though it's something else, okay?
Okay.
All right. Would you tell the jury that?
Copy of dinner receipt from the grill.
All right. And is this something the server prepares, or is this something that is prepared by some other individual?
The server prepares it.
All right. Could you just sort of, not chapter and verse, but just kind of Reader's Digest version, take us through how this is prepared? In other words, I come in
Yes.
to your restaurant.
Okay.
You come over to me and say, sir,
Yeah.
can I help you? I say,
Okay.
yes, I'd like to place an order. And I
Okay.
verbally give you an order for what I want. I order a ginger ale, a Diet Coke, a couple of daiquiris, a couple of prime rib dinners, apple pie and ice cream and hot tea. What do you do?
We still use the old fashioned dinner checks, the ones you write out like Dan Tana's.
Okay.
So we write everything on there, and then the order gets put into the computer by another server. So that's what this is. This is computer readout of that order.
Okay. So it gets translated verbally from the table to the server, and the server gets it to another server who then puts it into the computer, and then this pops out.
Correct.
People's.
Correct.
All
People's
right.
10.
Oh, you okay?
Yeah, I broke my paper.
Let's take a look at this for a moment. Help me here if you would. Sudi's put it up there on the screen, but it's a little bit difficult to read. As I understand, this was created on February 2nd, 2003 at about 10:17 p.m. Is that right?
Correct.
And the server was server number 4.
Well, it was team number 4. We work as teams.
Okay,
So it's
team
two
number.
servers.
4.
Nope, I was.
Okay. Well, we'll answer in a little.
Oh, don't.
Okay, and it indicates there were 2 guests, is that right?
Correct.
And we see the word Spector written there, is that right?
Correct.
And then we have the stamp house in 3 different places on the receipt, right?
Yeah,
And I think you told us that means it's a house account, which means, as I understand it, that the party doesn't have to pay. He can just, or she can just write up whatever it is, charge it, and walk out. Is that right?
they get billed at the end of the month.
Billed at the end of the month. And I assume that if they pay at the end of the month, they keep getting stamped house on their receipts, and if they don't get through the front door.
That's right.
Okay. The time of 10:17 p.m., which appears twice on this exhibit, once under the date of 2/2/2003, and once just below the signature line. Sudi, can you, I don't even know, do you have that up there? It's so faint, so very faint. Yes. Okay. Right there, we would agree.
Roger, why don't you use her copy? This is a much better time, because she's gonna need to look at it. Take it, freeze it.
There you go. Thank you. Okay, you see 10:17 p.m. there, correct?
Correct.
There's no signature on this, right?
No.
And of course, that's not required because it's a house account.
They do sign for a house.
So,
It'd be on the old fashioned copy I was telling you about. That's where they sign, on the
Oh.
back of it.
on the back, but not on this.
Nope.
So when you look at this, Ms. Sullivan, there's nothing improper about the fact that we don't see either in block form or cursive form the name Spector written on that signature line, correct?
Correct.
Now, let me ask you something. 10:17 PM, that's when the computer spits this out, is that right?
Yes.
It's then taken, I'm assuming, by a server such as yourself, but of course you're team 3, not team 4 that night.
Right.
And you would take it, put it in a little letter folder, deliver it, and set it down, is that correct?
We don't use folders, we just put it on the table. Yeah,
Just put it down?
Yeah.
Okay.
just throw it at them.
Sometimes you will have customers who will say, wait, hold on, let me just sign this right here, I'm in a hurry, I need to leave. They'll sign it right there, give it right back.
Correct.
And sometimes you have customers who, for lack of a better terminology, will linger. And they may sit there. And of course, you can't move them out, even though you may have a bunch of people at the front. You need the table. But if they want to sit there at the grill on the alley, they're going to sit there as long as they want.
Well, it depends who's the maitre d'.
Okay, let's assume they sit there within a reasonable time. You understand?
Yes, I do.
My point is the fact that it shows 10:17 on here does not indicate when the party who ordered this food and this beverage that evening left the table.
Correct.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you a big general question. And it's going to sound like a legal question, but it's really not. Are these records, this particular record we see here, People's 10, is this kept in the ordinary course of business by the grill, to your knowledge? Well, let me ask you. So if you needed at a later time to obtain a receipt like this that you had taken the order on, you have to say yes or no.
Oh, yes.
Okay, otherwise Diane gets mad at me.
Yes, sorry.
If you wanted to, for whatever reason, somewhere down the line, is there somebody, an employee at the grill, you can go to and say, gee, 3 nights ago or a week ago, I served table, whatever number, and I need to recreate what I served them. Could you pop that out and they can do it?
I believe there's a copy of somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Had you seen this receipt prior to that?
No.
This was the first time you saw it?
Yes.
Did you speak with Mr. Jackson before you testified here today?
Yes.
Okay, upstairs in his office?
Yes.
Was that like over the lunch hour this
Yes.
morning? Had you ever met with him before?
Yes.
Okay, how many times?
Once.
You remember when that was?
It was in March.
Okay. March of this year?
Correct.
And did you meet with him face to face or over the phone?
Face to face.
Here again in the building?
No, at my house.
Okay, he came out to chat with you?
Yes.
And I assume what you talked about then and what you talked about this morning is what you testified to here this afternoon?
Correct.
Okay, and may I have a moment, Your Honor, with Mr.
Yes.
Jackson?
Ladies and gentlemen, I think this took care of the matters that they needed. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, you may proceed.
Okay. I'll wait till Mr. Dixon gets back. Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Now, turning again to this receipt, let me ask you a couple questions. You looked at this, and in looking at it, you can see what's been ordered and what the cost is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And first thing I want to ask you is, see where it says lobster martini?
Yes.
Okay. I want to clear that up for myself as well as for the jury. Is that a hard liquor drink? It is
No.
not, is it? Tell the folks what a lobster martini is at the grill on February 2nd of 2003.
It's a lobster appetizer that is served in a martini glass.
And is that why they call it a lobster martini?
Correct.
And I'm assuming there's no alcohol in it.
No alcohol. Well, it's lobster aqua dressing, aquavit alcohol.
There's a lot of this.
Yeah.
It's not a drink.
No, it's a
It's not-
delicious appetizer.
It's not a martini with alcohol beverage such as vodka or vermouth or things of that nature.
No.
Okay. And I'm looking down the exhibit a little bit. This and this. Both. Thank you. Okay. Can you look at the top, you see where it says lot 18, if you look across to the right-hand column, the numbers show 1850.
Correct.
Okay. Now, if we look a little bit further down, you see where it says guest comp, and then if we look across again on the right-hand side of the receipt, we see the negative sign or a minus sign, 1850.
Yes.
Would you please explain to the jury kindly, if you would, what that means?
That means that we bought the lobster martini for Mr. Spector.
Furnaces to serve the grill, it's not unusual from time to time for the grill itself to send a complimentary drink or appetizer or meal to a guest. Is that right?
Correct.
That was done here?
Yes.
Would you take a look at the next line? It says guest comp. See that? And I think it says negative with the minus sign with the numbers 35.50 or 3550. See that?
Yes.
The prime rib dinners are 35, correct?
Then, I think they're more now, but yes,
Isn't everything?
yes.
Okay. And there were how many prime rib dinners ordered according to People's 10 for that evening?
2 were ordered.
Okay. And at $35.10 each, that would be $35.50 each. That would be $71, correct?
Correct.
So what does that mean when we see guest minus $35.50?
We bought them at one order.
So folks bought the prime rib and the lobster appetizer.
Correct.
Didn't charge Mr. Spector for that.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is there a tip on here?
Yes. Yes, there is.
Susie, we need if you could go down a little bit, please. There's a line for that, isn't there?
For the tip?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The total charge for Mr. Spector was $70.09. Is that right?
Correct.
And what was the tip?
Looks like $100.
So the total charge to Mr. Spector's account, the house account, was how much?
$170.09.
Okay. You had worked there for 2.5 years at that time. That was a fairly generous tip, wasn't it?
Extremely.
Mr. Spector, when you hit with him, had always been a tipper to people, hadn't he?
Extremely.
Very, very, very caring and very giving in the tip department, right?
Very.
Okay. You indicated you had on a uniform that night, is that correct?
Correct.
Would you describe to the jury what you were wearing, please?
At work, I had on black pants, a white men's button-down shirt, a black tie, black shoes, and then we wear white dinner jackets.
Okay. When you say black pants, they were pants, full-length pants?
Correct.
Okay. Did you change out of that at all that evening?
No.
So from the time that you left work with Mr. Spector till the time that you left the House of Blues and were driven home by Adriano, you were always in the same clothing, is that correct?
Unfortunately, yes.
You really wanted to get out of that clothing, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. By the way, Phil, he's right-handed.
I don't recall. I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. Now, let's talk a little bit about this evening if we can, okay? As I understand it, Phil comes into the grill and he comes in with Rami. You'd seen him in there with Rami previously
Yes.
and you knew they were friends.
Yes.
You knew they weren't husband and wife or lovers, just friends. Okay. As I understand it, you were working and you had finished working and you were sitting having a bite to eat, correct?
Correct.
And that's very common at the grill on the alley, isn't it? That when you finish your evening, the kitchen will prepare a meal for the,
At a time.
right, not anymore.
No.
You pay for it now?
No, they just don't put it up.
Okay, so prices have gone up and perks have gone down.
That's right.
Okay. And as I understand it, you were sitting there eating with another young lady, Karen, correct?
Correct.
And as you were sitting there and eating, I think you said, maybe I got this term wrong, but you said a busser came over to you?
Correct.
Okay, when you say a busser, that's a busboy or a bus
Correct.
lady? Okay, and I'm not going to ask you Max's last name so he doesn't wind up in the newspapers along with your friend Karen. But at any rate, he comes over and he shares with you that Mr. Spector would like to chat with you for a second, correct?
Correct.
And what does Max say to you?
He said that Mr. Spector wanted to see me.
Okay, and you got up from the table and walked, correct?
Correct.
And at this time, Rami, she had excused herself to the ladies' room, right?
Correct.
So he was sitting there by himself.
Correct.
And about what time is this, do you know?
The restaurant had closed, so around 10, I
Okay.
guess.
And when you went over to the table to talk to Philip, he invited you something, didn't he?
He did.
Okay. He didn't just invite you, he invited you and Karen, correct?
Correct.
All right. What impression did they do with when he invited you?
Just that he wanted to be social. He'd invited us all out before.
Okay, he wasn't trying to be romantic with you.
No.
was he? No, it was strictly a friendship thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think you said that Karen couldn't because she had already pre-committed to a birthday party, is that what you said?
Correct.
Okay, but you weren't going to the birthday party with Karen, and you didn't have any other plans, and you said, sure, why not, I'll go.
Why not?
Okay.
I did.
Okay, as I understand it, right,
Yes.
Philip didn't care, did he?
He didn't care.
He said, you look great, it doesn't matter, we're gonna go have some fun, come on, right?
Yes.
Okay, and he extended this, and then he would return for you, correct?
Correct.
All right. And as I understand it, Rami returns from the ladies' room, and they leave, and you wait for Phil to return, correct?
Correct.
And as I understand it, you described it as something longer than 45 minutes, but you're not sure whether it was 45 or an hour and a half, but it was something longer than 45 minutes.
It might not have been, it just seemed longer.
Okay.
Standing there waiting.
Yeah, when we're waiting for somebody to come pick us up, it always seems a bit
Yeah,
longer, doesn't it?
exactly.
Okay. And so you waited for Adriano and for Philip to return, and lo and behold, they returned, right?
Correct.
You got in the vehicle with them, right?
Correct.
And you drove over to Trader Vic's.
Yes.
And I think as Mr. Jackson brought out on direct examination, Trader Vic's is really very close to the grill in the alley, isn't it?
Very close.
If you head up Wilshire Boulevard in a westerly direction, you actually run almost right into it at Santa Monica.
Correct.
It's kind of on the northwest corner of Santa Monica and Wilshire, right?
Correct.
It would be to the, a little bit to the south and the east of the Beverly Hilton Hotel. Is that a fair statement? It's right on the corner.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And you had a nice chat with Philip in the car on the way over there?
Very nice.
He was very nice.
Very nice.
By the way, did you see him and Rami leave the grill?
I don't recall.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you got into the car, the two of you drove over to Trader Vic's, right?
Correct.
All right. And then when you got to Trader Vic's, as I understand it, you went in and you sat at a table, not at the bar, correct?
Yes.
Okay, let me just take you back one second. I actually did forget something, and I apologize for that. Do you have the exhibit in front of you again?
I do.
Okay, I forgot to ask you this. It shows on here that there were 2 daiquiris ordered, correct, with
Correct.
Bacardi Light? Now, as a waitress or as a server, the fact that it was the 2 Bacardi Light daiquiris were ordered, that's all it shows, correct?
Correct.
So you can't tell us from reading this whether the person who ordered the 2 daiquiris even drank them, correct?
Correct.
All it indicates to you is that these were ordered, not that they were consumed, right?
Correct.
Likewise, for example, for the ginger ale or the Diet Coke, you don't know if those were consumed either.
Nope.
So this exhibit does not teach us anything about the consumption of those 2 alcoholic beverages,
Objection,
correct?
that's an improper question.
The exhibit speaks for itself.
I think, no, I think that that's a question I'll allow. You may ask.
You may answer. It does not, does it?
No,
Okay. By the way, a daiquiri is, a daiquiri, as I understand, is a mixed drink, correct? Is that right?
yes,
Okay. And mixed drinks, blended drinks, they have less alcohol in them than straight drinks, don't they?
I believe so.
Okay.
Objection, foundation, speculation.
Sustained.
Move to strike.
Stricken. Jury's admonished.
Person don't smoke, please.
Yes.
Okay. So let's get back to Trader Vic's if we can, okay? Now, as I understand it, you went to Trader Vic's, you sat at this table in the bar area, and you looked at the menu. Phil was saying to you, gee, would you like to have something to eat, correct?
Yeah.
But you had already had something at the grill, so there had not been a great distance of time between the meal that you had at the grill and now you're over at Trader Vic's, correct?
Correct.
So you weren't. But he invited you and offered you to order off the menu anything you wanted, right?
Correct.
Okay. And there were some drinks ordered at Trader Vic's, is that right?
Correct.
And do I understand it correctly that you ordered what is called an amaretto sour?
Yes,
Okay. And Philip ordered what is called a Navy grog.
yes,
And Mr. Jackson asked you, you know what's in a Navy jug or how to make one, and you don't, right?
no,
Okay. You're not a bartender.
oh, no,
Bartenderist, what's politically correct?
bartender,
Okay, you're not a bartender.
no.
Now, let me just take a moment here and let's talk about Trader Vic's. You were at Trader Vic's for how long a period of time?
Over an hour,
Okay. And during that time, as I understand it, you were having a wonderful conversation with Philip, is that right?
that's right,
About music? You talked about his love of music.
we did,
You talked about how he felt so lucky to be in that profession and how really God had been so good to him in the profession, correct?
we did,
You talked about Nicole, didn't you?
yes,
Who's Nicole?
Nicole,
You know, I'm going to overrule that. Conversations have been brought into play, and certainly what was discussed out loud.
You told Nicole.
Nicole is Phil's daughter,
Oh, and you had ongoing conversation for that whole hour or so, didn't you?
yes,
And you had no problem speaking to Philip, correct?
no,
He had no problem speaking back to you?
no,
The two of you processed each other's words?
yes,
There was nothing incoherent about what you said to him?
no,
And he said to you?
correct,
Let me ask you something. When he came to pick you up back at the grill, did he get out of the car and you got in, or you don't remember?
I don't remember,
Okay, but when you arrived at Trader Vic's, both of you got out of the car.
yes,
And if I recall correctly, let me ask it this way. Did the vehicle pull up into the driveway area in front of the door?
yes,
And then you have to walk up some stairs, right?
yeah,
And then there's a little, maybe 15, 20 feet before you hit the front door.
yes,
Okay. And you and Philip got out of the car, you walked around the car,
yes,
walked up the stairs, walked down the 15 or 20 feet to the front door, Philip opened the door.
repeat,
He's always a gentleman,
yes,
the consummate gentleman.
yes,
He's very fatherly to you, isn't
very,
he? Very caring for you, right?
yes,
And after he opened the door, the two of you went in, were escorted in the car, correct? That's about, what, 20, 25 feet away from the front door roughly?
yeah,
Okay, parking there, right?
very dark.
And you were escorted to the table, he pulled the chair out for you?
I think we're in a booth.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you scooted into the
I
booth,
scooted.
and Philip scooted into the booth, correct? You didn't notice anything unusual about the way Mr. walked or talked during that time?
No,
Nothing,
mm-mm,
okay. That's no?
no,
Okay. Would it be fair to say, describe Philip's mood that evening that you were with him as upbeat, positive, and jovial?
yes,
upbeat, positive, and jovial, correct?
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that in your opinion, the conversation was, and I'm stealing your words here, fantastic?
Yes.
Why?
It just was. It was great to catch up, and we talked about, all his music stuff, and we talked about American Idol, just very current events at that time.
Okay. And during the time we were there, I think Philip ordered a Navy grog,
Correct.
and you ordered a,
Amaretto sour.
okay. And nothing was ordered to eat.
No.
Nice conversation.
Yes.
Did you order another drink for the first one?
We both did.
Okay. Do you remember, did you finish your drink or you don't recall?
I did not finish the second drink.
Okay. The first drink, did you, or you don't recall?
Yes.
Okay. You don't recall, do you, whether or not Philip finished his drink? Do you?
I wasn't watching his drinking.
In fact, we're interviewed by Detective Tomlin and Fournier back in November of 2005. You specifically told him you paid no attention to whether or not he finished his drinks or not, correct?
Correct.
So as you sit here today and share with us, the jury and us, you cannot say whether or not he had any or all of those two drinks, correct?
That is correct.
Are you familiar with Phil's habit of sometimes ordering things in restaurants and not consuming them?
Objection, that assumes facts, not in evidence.
He asked if she's familiar, if he does that. That's the way I understood the question. Have you ever seen that happen?
Yeah.
All right, the objection's overruled.
In fact, it's really not uncommon with him, is it?
Mm-mm.
That's no.
Oh,
That's okay.
How's that facts not in evidence? They've already said that in the trial. He'll order a whole bunch of stuff just to try it and not eat the whole thing. They've already said that. That is facts and evidence.
I know, it's a little different in here.
yeah.
It's all really for Diane and Cindy because they take this down on that little machine and it all has to come out that way. So, and then they produce a block and we read it, okay? So you're there at Trader Vic's. And as I understand it, please bear with me for a moment. You leave at some point, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, may I have a word with Mr. Jackson for a moment?
Yes?
Your Honor, we're going to refer people to 11 now. May I just come up for seconds? I don't know this is now. If not, I'll help. No, you got it. 10. We'll get you 11. Okay. And I just want to visit with you for a moment before we forward to the next stop, after we take care of your car, right?
Right.
Okay, and we'll get to that. So a invoice, bill,
Dinner check.
dinner check,
Yeah.
okay. And I know the question is, so you just, because we do have another witness coming to talk about this. If you take a look over on the left-hand side, you'll see there's two dinner checks, actually. There's one on the left and one on the right, okay? I'm going to reference you and ask you to draw your attention, please, if you would, to the one on the left-hand side. We see a date and a time, do we not?
Correct.
And it shows February 2nd of the year 2003, and the time is 10:41 p.m. in the evening, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And now let's take a look and see what we have. We have two Amaretto sours ordered at $13, correct?
Correct.
And two Navy grogs ordered $3.25 and a regular $3.25. Is that right?
Yes,
And Ms. Sullivan, what is the total amount of liquor sales?
$39.
Now, again, I'm going to ask you, by looking at this, you can tell us how much you consumed or how much Philip consumed. Is that correct? When I say this, I mean people's 11, the check up on the screen. Is that right?
I can tell you what I consumed, but I can't tell you what Philip consumed.
That, you're ahead. You know where I was going. You know what you consumed. You can't tell us, they said there, whether Philip had any of those Navy groggs, some of those Navy groggs, or all of those Navy groggs, correct?
We had some.
So, okay. Didn't affect his ability to talk with you that night, did it?
Not at all.
And he didn't stop being a gentleman to you.
Not at all.
He's very old-fashioned that way, isn't he?
Very old-fashioned.
Very mannerly, yes.
Yes.
So let's take a look. Under liquor sales, there's a line that says gratuity, correct?
Correct.
So we have a total bill of $39. And most people, what, tip between 15 and 30%, somewhere in there?
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. What's the tip here?
$150.
It's a little more than 30%, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So that brings the total charges to $192.22?
Yes.
Okay. And let's look at the very bottom line. You see where it says 8/23 closed February 3rd?
Yes.
And it says 12 o'clock a.m.
Yes.
Okay. Does that in any way assist you in kind of remembering when you left Trader Joe's? If it does, that's fine.
Left pretty much as soon as those seconds were served. That I know.
Okay.
We asked the chat during. We asked the chat.
Okay. Shortly thereafter.
Correct.
So let me ask you, walk to the front door through the dark area, cross the front entryway, go down the steps, get in the car.
Philip went to the restroom.
Okay. And so did you, didn't you?
I think I did. I don't remember.
Okay. You remember telling officers Tom and Fournier that you did go to the...
If I did tell them, I did.
Okay.
I just don't remember
That's fine.
when I went to the bathroom 4 years ago.
All right. You and I'll have that conversation after court today outside. All right. So, all right. At any rate, after you and he went to the bathroom, you folks got back into the car.
We did.
When Philip got up out of the booth, did he fall down?
No.
When you stood up and walked through the darkened area, the hallway area to get to the front where the hostess is, did he fall down?
No.
Did he stumble?
No.
You didn't need to assist him in walking,
No.
did you? When you walked outside, he opened the door for you?
I believe he did.
Okay. Didn't have any trouble opening that door, did he?
No.
And he had no trouble with his motor skills, walking down the front ramp area, down this flight of stairs, to the driveway area, getting in and shutting the door before you, he, and Adriana left Trader Vic's. That's a fair statement, isn't it?
Yes.
So now we get to the point where we've left Trader Vic's, but we have a little bit of a problem. And the problem is that he wants to take you to Dantana's, but you have a car which is parked back at the grill on the street, correct?
Correct.
And you're concerned about that because A, you don't want it towed.
Correct.
And B, even though it's in Beverly Hills, you don't want it stolen. It's going to be there for a while. And you wanted to get it back to your house, correct?
Correct.
And your house, as I understand it, is very close to the House of Blues.
Correct.
Don't tell us the address.
I'm not going to.
Please do not. But it's in that area, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the West Hollywood area?
Correct.
All right. So you explained this situation to Philip, and Philip basically said, look, Kathy, no problem. We'll go back. We're in the car. We'll go back to the grill to your car. You can get in your car, drive it home. Adriana and I will follow you in our car. You can park your car at home so it'll be safe and secure. Get back in our car, and then we'll go to Dantana's. And that was just fine.
That was fine.
Okay. And that's what you did.
That's what we did.
Okay. And you drove from where you live to Dantana's with Philip, right?
Correct.
Had a good time in the car with him. It was a short drive,
Yeah,
wasn't
short drive.
it? Real.
Very nice.
Okay. So we now get to Dantana. You get to Dantana's. You get out of the vehicle, and you and Philip enter. Is that right?
Correct.
And when you go in there, you're greeted by the host or the hostess. I think it was a host.
Host.
The host. Did you know him?
I've met him before,
Okay. Actually, there was somebody else in there that evening that you knew. I think it was another
someone
server.
from work.
I'm sorry. Another server from the grill, right?
Correct,
You get it. And you saw him there also, right?
correct.
Okay. So I think what you said in your direct examination is that the host took Philip and yourself and escorted the two of you back to his booth, correct?
Correct.
And when you said his,
It would be his regular table.
okay. And how did you notice it?
Because that's where he was sat the night that I met him, and on a previous occasion when I met he and Susan for dinner.
Okay. And so you folks sat down, is that right?
Yes,
And as I understand it, he went to the bathroom.
correct.
And do you recall, you went to the bathroom today? Hence also, did you?
No,
Okay. When he came, and you, when you were in the men's room, correct?
correct.
And why is there such rude and odd behavior? All I want to do is go to the bathroom and they want to talk to me, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And it really wasn't done in an aggressive, nasty manner. It was just almost jovial, funny, wasn't it?
It was.
You laughed?
Yeah.
Okay. Philip has correct wit, doesn't he? A wit.
Yes.
So you folks are seated now at the booth, am I right? It's a booth?
Yes,
At the antennas, correct?
correct.
And how long, Ms. Sullivan, do you remember? I'm trying to put you, as they say, on the clock, but
Mhm.
just kind of think about it for a moment and give us your best guess.
Almost 2 hours.
All right. So you're there almost 2 hours. And during the time you're there, as I understand it, Philip places an order for you. Correct?
Correct.
He orders,
Correct.
you order a drink or drinks, and I think you said a salad with all kinds of things in it, right?
Correct.
And that's what he ordered, right?
Yes.
And did he order one or two?
One.
Okay. And that was for the two of you to split, right?
Correct.
All right. And in fact, he did split it. You ate a little more of it than he did. He kind of, but you both ate it, correct?
Okay.
And it's a pretty big salad, isn't it?
It is a big salad.
It's not a salad that two people could split and enjoy it, and in terms of the quantity.
It's a dinner salad.
Okay.
Yeah, big salad.
Now, indulgence for a moment, please.
All right.
Okay. So we're now at Dantana's. We're there a couple of hours. And as I understand it, I think you indicated that Philip wanted to order something called a Navy grog. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And the server did not know what that was, so he had the bartender come over.
Correct.
And the bartender didn't know what it was.
Correct.
So Philip ordered a daiquiri.
Yes.
And you. Okay. And you occurred over at Trader Vic's. More conversation, having a really nice time. Philip remains in the jovial, fun mood. He's upbeat. He's positive, things of that nature.
Correct.
And once again, over that 2-hour period, you didn't have any trouble conversing with him, did you?
No.
You spoke with him freely.
Yes.
He spoke back to you freely.
Yes.
You understood what he was saying to you,
Yes.
and he apparently understood by his responses what you were saying.
Yes.
And during that time, Philip didn't spill anything that was on the table. He didn't knock any glasses over or knock any food onto the table, did he?
Nope.
Didn't fall out of the booth, did he? Okay. Bottom line one was this. Throughout the evening, Philip was never drunk, was he? You were with Philip. Let me rephrase. From the time that you were with Philip, he certainly was not drunk at Trader Vic's, right?
Objection, calls for speculation.
I think it's sustained, you just need to lay a foundation.
You've seen people who are drunk before, correct?
Yes.
You've seen it in your business, in your profession, correct?
Yes.
In your mind, when you think of somebody being drunk, it's the way they behave in a general sense, correct?
Correct.
It's their speech, it's how they handle their motor skills, it's what they do, what they say, things of that nature, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Spector wasn't behaving that way at Trader Vic's, was he?
No.
Now, let's get to Dan Tana's. At Dan Tana's, as I understand, you're there for a couple of hours. You have the salad, you split the salad, he picks at it, you eat more of it. The drinks are ordered. At another point, are more drinks ordered?
Yes.
Okay. And how many more drinks are ordered?
Apparently another round.
Okay. And as I understand it, are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I know it is late in the day and the air gets difficult in here towards the end. We've got about 15 minutes left. We'll see if we can complete so you don't have to come back, all right? If you need a break, you let us know.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, though.
You're welcome. Once again, you can't tell us, as you sit here now, whether or not Philip consumed all of the first drink that Africa came.
No.
A second round was ordered. How long was that second round? Bad question, very bad question. Once the second round was ordered and delivered to the table, how soon thereafter did the two of you folks leave?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you recall whether or not you finished your second drink?
I believe I did not.
And Philip really never even took any sip even out of the second drink, did he? He really sort of focused on the Diet Coke there, didn't he?
I was not watching what he was drinking.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. So once again, as to either the first or second drink, you have no idea how much he drank.
Correct.
But what you do know is that there was no change in your ability to chat with him and the fun that was going on. Now, I think you indicated at some point you guys decided to leave, is that right?
Yes.
And you left by getting out of the booth, walking to the front and going outside in the front area, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I understand before that happened that there were 3 to 4 men seated in a table next to you. Is that right?
Yes.
Younger men? Well, that's a gentleman, not gentlemen?
No,
Okay. I was going to say, you used the term inebriated.
Yeah.
Tell me what that means to you and tell me what you saw. How did they behave? How did they act?
like idiots.
What did
They were acting like drunk frat boys.
Okay. Over and said to Philip, "How you doing?" Right?
I believe, or what's your name? Something like
Okay.
that.
Well, let me ask you this.
How you doing?
Let me see if I can refresh your memory. You spoke with Mr. Forney and Tomlin twice, once in '03 and once in November of '05, correct? Two detectives from Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Then that the first thing that one of these fellows said was, "Hey, how you doing?" And Philip said, "I'm doing fine." And then the next question is, "What's your name?"
Okay.
He says, "Philip."
Right.
And then, is that correct?
Yeah.
And then Philip said to him, "What's yours?" Right? And the gentleman said something, correct?
Yes.
And then he asked your name, didn't he?
Yeah.
And you did what? You ignored him, didn't you?
I kept eating.
Okay, no answer. Right?
No.
It would be fair to say that you were really not enjoying them being next to you, were you?
No.
They were loud. They were drunk.
Yes.
They were obnoxious.
Yes. Yes.
Now, Ms. Sullivan stands right. Federal issues.
No.
When you but it wasn't until you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Sorry. But it wasn't actually until you entered the vehicle with Phil when he said, let's go to the house.
Yes.
Okay. Did it not? One of these gentlemen, or all of them, were out on the sidewalk waiting for their car?
Two were still inside negotiating the, maybe three were out.
Let's go.
Correct.
All right. Was it your impression you didn't want any part of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Approach Philip, doesn't he?
Yes.
And he starts to say something, doesn't he? The other fellow,
Yeah.
not Philip. Okay. Philip, you don't recall or you didn't hear it. Am I correct?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Okay. And Philip just looked at him, right?
Yeah.
You said he gave him he stood his ground and he gave him a stare. Is that
Yes.
right? Like just back off, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Philip was fighting. Correct.
Correct.
And then I understand the first thing he does is apologize to you on their behalf, right?
Yes.
He says, I'm sorry, no disrespect meant. And you said, no disrespect taken.
Right.
And that kind of folds into, if it does not, the fact that he is very much a gentleman.
Yes.
He didn't know these fellows, did he?
No.
Now, when you get back, I'm going to leave Trader Vic's and you're going to go to the House of Blues. It's getting pretty darn late. isn't it?
Yes.
What are we looking at time-wise, Ms. Sullivan? About close to 2?
Correct.
You were exhausted.
Yes.
You had been up since early morning, I believe?
Yes.
6 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay. You had a full day?
Yes. Yes.
And you really wanted to go home. Is that a
Yes.
fair statement?
Yes.
As I understand, the impression was when I heard you testify that you said okay because you knew that it was close to closing time and you thought, we'll get there and basically the door will be shut and then it'll be fine. Nice evening, thank you. I'm going to go home and climb in bed and get to sleep because that's what I really want to do, correct?
Correct.
All right. In fact, as I understand your testimony on direct examination, you indicated that when you ordered a water, at that time, Philip said, basically, this is obviously time for you to go home, correct?
Correct.
And I think you also had indicated at some point that if you had knowing that all it would have taken was to order a bottle of water, you would have ordered the bottle of water earlier on in the evening, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So you drive up, not you personally, you're in the vehicle, but the vehicle drives from Dantana's up to the House of Blues, correct?
Correct.
And that's very, very close, is it not?
Yes.
What do you think? A couple minutes to get there, maybe?
5 minutes.
Okay. You and Philip were seated in the vehicle?
Correct.
And you and Philip were chatting, right?
Correct.
And it's still a wonderful evening.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see what happens. You get to the House of Blues, is that right?
Correct.
And let me just find myself in my notes here. It's late in the day. Hold on. All right. As I understand it, Adriano is driving and you're seated with Philip in the car.
Correct.
And you get to the House of Blues, and I think you said you go down the driveway, correct?
Correct.
But as you're going down the driveway, you notice something, right?
Yes.
What do you notice? Tell us.
Well, it's empty now.
What do you mean by empty now?
The parking
Explain
lot.
what you saw.
The parking lot, there were cars leaving.
Okay.
It appeared almost empty.
People out,
Yes, correct.
waiting for their cars, cars driving them.
Yeah.
So it was pretty clear that it was closing time.
Yes.
And you were thinking, oh, lucky, it's
Mhm.
closing time, I'm going to get to go home and go to sleep.
Correct.
All right. But you drive down the driveway and you get out of the vehicle.
Yes.
And as I understand it, when you get out of the vehicle, you get out and Mr. Spector gets out.
Correct.
Philip and you walk over to the House of Blues, the structure itself from the driveway, right?
Yes.
And as I understand it, you said he was looking for the elevator, right?
Yes.
And then I think you said an employee came up. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the employee stated, can I help you? And
Mhm.
Philip says something, in fact, we want to go up to the foundation room and the elevator isn't working. And the employee says, I'm sorry, it's turned off, correct? Or it's closed, it's not working.
He tried to get the elevator working too, and I guess we all figured out that it had been turned off.
That had been turned on.
Yeah.
Okay. And then as I understand it at that point, he then escorted you and Philip up to the foundation room by using the stairwell, correct?
Correct.
When you and Philip are at the elevator and it's determined that the elevator doesn't work or been closed or turned off or whatever, Philip didn't get angry, did he?
No,
Didn't say a word, right?
no, he just kept pushing the button.
The gentleman, the employee said, we can go up the stairs and Spector and you follow him right to the stairwell and up you go, correct?
Correct.
This was not one flight of stairs, was it?
No,
This was not two flights of stairs, was it?
No.
This was three
Yes.
full flights of stairs, correct?
yes,
And you walked up,
correct.
the employee walked up?
Yep,
Was there anybody else that walked up it with you?
Philip.
Thank you. When you got to the top, I think you indicated there is kind of like a hallway area, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then he escorts you over to the foundation room area, the employee does, and he then disappears.
Yes.
Okay, and let's take a moment and look at People's 13, the House of Blues receipt, if we could, please. Sue? Okay. The House of Blues and certainly didn't work there on Fifth.
It said it lost audio. So I'm going to share it again. I probably hit a button that I wasn't supposed to hit.
Correct.
And one bar bottle of water for $5.
Yeah,
Total $13.50, correct?
yeah.
All right. That's your bottle of water, right?
Yeah, and I never got the water.
And Philip never got the card.
So why are they charging
Objection,
it?
it's false for second.
Sorry.
The objection sustained, the witness's answer is stricken, the jury's admonished, disregarded.
All right. Did you ever receive the water? Do you know whether Philip ever received the card?
Objection calls for
Ask
speculation.
if she knows. She may have a basis for knowing, I don't know.
I'll withdraw it until we
Okay,
get the answer, I suppose.
all right.
You don't know whether he.
I don't know, I left.
Okay. So not only do you know if he didn't get it, you don't even know if it was served, if he had it, right?
Correct.
You were gone.
I was gone.
So they charged Phil for a bottle of water that he never got.
Yeah.
Would you take a look, the subtotal is how much?
$13.50.
And you see service charges underneath that, the next line down?
I do.
Correct, and your service charges is equivalent, or synonym term for TITS.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, what kind of a service charge did Mr. Spector place on his account at the house? Lives that morning?
$450.
$450.
$450.
Okay, and so the total payment was how much?
Objection noted.
Well, the exhibit speaks for itself. She can testify as to her general knowledge of the industry, and that's as far as it goes from this witness on this particular.
And my objection to the exhibit is it doesn't speak for itself because there's.
It speaks for itself only to the extent that it says service charge. She knows what a service, but the people, either one of you can bring in the people from the house.
Correct. I expect that this will happen. I think that
I know.
Mr. Rosen is putting the cart before the horse.
Quite possibly.
It said that she was escorted to her car by gunpoint. But I've not heard her say that. But that's what it said on Court TV's website about her. I've not once heard her say that he pulled a gun on her.
If we could move forward.
Very well. The total charge then is $463.50, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Your Honor, it is four, and I do have.
It is, but it depends how much longer you have to go. I'd like to complete this witness before she has to come back.
Yeah, I'd like to too.
How much time do you think you need?
I may need 20 to 30 minutes. And it is.
Are you going to have any redirect?
I will, Judge.
We should break for the day then.
Okay.
All right. We're going to need to have you come back on Monday at 9:30. Okay, you'll be the first witness. And just remember not to discuss the case with anyone except the attorneys in the case. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind the admonition. We'll see you Monday morning at 9:30. Thank you. You may step down. Thank you. Alternates have left. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. You're ordered back at that time.
Yeah, just for the,
Yes.
for next week, we're going to confirm with Dr. Lee, try to be here Wednesday afternoon at 1:30.
And if so, then the jury will not be in session at 1:30.
Right, and of course, it's subject to him finishing his testimony on Tuesday, so I don't,
I understand that, and we know that Thursday we will not be in session. I will be gone the entire day.
I wanted to know whether that was still the case.
That is, I checked today, it is the case. I will be gone for the entire day on Thursday. Okay.
All right, very good.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
We have also, I found those pictures are posted on the internet that goes to your Lions Club members, like.
Oh,
you should have them invited out before.
I don't see do we have a public information officer still here? Thank you. Would you see the exhibits that we're making available to the media, if they have credit card numbers, are to be taken off? And any receipts and things like that?
I believe, I may not be speaking out of turn, I think I looked at those, it's been about a year for that purpose. I don't think anything.
We just want to make sure. We're just,
They're on, two of them are both on the Donors.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was, it was up there, and I
It's
didn't realize it, and it's being broadcast all over the world.
We-
Those numbers are up there.
and you may want to change accounts, who knows? But in any event, we'll do what we can.
Okay, and Judge, there's one other issue that I'd like to join Mr. Rosen to the bench.
Come on up. Come on up.
Oh, we don't have.
It could be. I don't know. It doesn't happen very often. So I think it's like when they're training new guards or maybe recertification or whatever. No, it wasn't you. I just caught it really quick. For some reason, I probably shouldn't say anything because Travis always says when I do that I jinx myself, but it hasn't crashed and my camera's been on the whole time. Don't piss it off. Yeah, it said that I lost screen share audio, and I just I unshared it and reshared it real quick, and it fixed it. So it wasn't you. It was it. I just fixed it fast. I guess maybe StreamYard needed a day of rest too. Okay. Dang it. I reset my stream for 10:15, but I wanted to take a break first. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break. I'm not going to change the time. I'm just going to take a quick break and then start. I know. When I do that, Travis is always like, "You just jinx yourself. Don't do that." Okay, so I'm going to go take a real quick break before we start the other stream. Does the cross exams by this guy, do they move the needle at all for any of you? Like, it's like he's just reiterating everything she says. Like every cross exam this guy does, it's just like repeats what she said before. There's like no impeachment. There's no gotcha moments. There's no nothing. It just literally repeats everything she just said. He's done this with every witness. And then Cutler just screams at the witness. What? No wonder the first trial was a hung jury. Jeez. Okay. Here we go. Bye. See you over there, guys.